My girlfriend said, "I need a solo trip." I replied, "Enjoy all that space." Then I hired movers, emptied our place, sent her things to storage, left a key and code behind, and waited for her to walk into walls and evidence she'd never see coming. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. The realization didn't hit me like a lightning bolt. It was more like a slow, freezing drip of water down the back of my neck. It was 11:00 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was sitting alone in the apartment I paid for, eating takeout I didn't want, scrolling through a burner Instagram account I hadn't used in years. My girlfriend Sarah was supposedly 3 days into a digital detox at her remote cabin 4 hours away. She had made a big show of leaving her phone charger behind, claiming she needed total isolation to reset her soul. But there it was, a story update on her profile. It was just a photo of 2 coffee mugs on a rustic wooden table captioned, "Finally at peace, the universe provides." It wasn't the mugs that stopped my heart. It was the hand holding the one on the left, a distinct faded anchor tattoo on the thumb. I knew that hand. I knew that tattoo. It belonged to Mark, the ex-boyfriend she claimed was toxic and blocked on everything for the last 3 years. I didn't scream. I didn't throw my phone. I just stared at the screen until it went dark, the silence in the apartment suddenly deafening. To understand why I didn't explode right then and there, you have to understand the conversation we had 2 weeks ago. You have to understand just how thoroughly I had been played. It started on a Sunday morning. We were having breakfast. Well, I was having breakfast. Sarah was pushing scrambled eggs around her plate like they were poison. The air in the kitchen was thick, the kind of heavy silence that usually precedes a breakup or a funeral. "We need to talk," she said, finally dropping her fork. I put my coffee down. "Okay, what's wrong? Is it work?" "It's not work. It's everything." She looked at me with wide, tear-airy eyes, a look I now recognize as a performance. "I feel like I'm drowning up. I feel like I'm losing who I am." I was immediately concerned. "What do you mean? Are you depressed? We can find a therapist. We can know it's not that." She interrupted, waving a hand dismissively at my offer of practical help. "It's this routine, the stability. It's suffocating me. I wake up, I go to work, I come home, we watch Netflix, we sleep. I feel like an NPC in my own life. I've lost my spark." I sat there stunned. I worked 60 hours a week in logistics to make sure she didn't have to worry about stability. I paid the rent, the utilities, the car payments. The routine she hated was the luxury of safety I busted my ass to provide. But I didn't say that. Instead, I leaned in. "Okay," I said gently, "what do you need? A vacation. We can go to Cabo next month." "No," she snapped, then softened her voice. "That's the problem. I don't need a vacation with you, Opie. I need to be alone. I need to hear my own thoughts without your voice in my ear. I need to find myself again." She laid out her plan. She wanted to rent a cabin in the mountains for a week, totally solo. No technology, no communication, just her nature and her journal. "It's a spiritual reset," she told me, gripping my hand across the table. "If I don't do this, I think I'm going to resent you forever. I need this to save us, to save us." That was the hook. I swallowed my hurt. I told myself I was being supportive. I was the modern, secure boyfriend who respected boundaries. "All right," I said. "If you need space, take it. Book the cabin, I'll cover it." "Really?" Her face lit up. "You're the best, you really are." I paid $1,200 for a week at a secluded Airbnb. I bought her a new journal. I even filled her gas tank the night before she left. The morning of her departure, she was practically vibrating with excitement. She packed light, too light in hindsight. She kissed me at the door, a lingering kiss that felt like a reward for good behavior. "Remember the rules," she said, pulling away. "No texting, no calling. Unless the apartment is on fire, I don't exist for the next 7 days. I need total silence to heal." "I promise," I said. "Total silence." "I love you," she said. "When I come back, I'll be the Sarah you fell in love with." She got in her car and drove off. I stood in the driveway and waved, feeling a knot of anxiety in my stomach that I tried to ignore. I told myself I was just missing her already. I told myself she was out there meditating and hiking, fighting to be a better partner for me. I was such a fool. She wasn't driving to the mountains to find herself. She was driving straight back to the past I thought we'd buried. And that brought me back to Tuesday night, to the photo on my phone, to the anchor tattoo on the thumb of the man who was currently enjoying the spiritual reset I had financed. The sadness evaporated, the confusion vanished. All that was left was cold, hard clarity. She wanted space. She wanted to find herself. I looked around the apartment filled with furniture I bought, looking at the life I built. Okay, Sarah, I thought I'm going to give you all the space in the world. I didn't pack a single box that night. I didn't want to act on adrenaline. Adrenaline makes you sloppy. It makes you break things you might need later. I needed to be surgical. The first thing I did was download the evidence. I screenshotted the story, then I went hunting. I searched Mark's name. His profile was public. Of course it was. He was the kind of guy who needed an audience for his mediocrity. His latest post was from 3 hours ago, a picture of a dimly lit living room with a caption, "Reconnecting with old souls." Some connections never fade. I zoomed in. On the coffee table in the corner of his frame sat the distinctive leather-bound journal I had bought Sarah 2 days ago, the one with her initials embossed on the cover. The timeline became sickeningly clear. She hadn't gone to the mountains. She had driven straight to Mark's apartment in the city, probably 20 minutes away from where I was sitting right now. The Airbnb I paid $1,200 for was sitting empty, or maybe they'd drive up there for the weekend. The no-contact rule wasn't for her mental health. It wasn't about finding herself. It was logistical. She just didn't want to have to silence her phone every time I texted while she was in bed with him. She wanted a cheap cat iron fully funded by the man she was cheating on without the nuisance of checking in. I felt a strange sensation in my chest. It wasn't heartbreak. It was the feeling of a heavy weight being lifted for months. I had been walking on eggshells trying to fix a relationship she had already checked out of. I had been fighting a ghost. Now, the ghost had a name and a stupid anchor tattoo. I saved everything, the photos, the timestamps, the text where she promised she was going off the grid. I backed them up to the cloud in a hard drive. Then I looked at the calendar. It was Tuesday night. She wasn't due back until Sunday afternoon. I had 4 full days. I slept like a baby that night. It's amazing how well you sleep when you stop worrying about saving something that's already dead. Wednesday morning, I called out of work. I told my boss I had a family emergency. In a way, I did. My family, me, was in crisis management mode. My first call was to the leasing office. The lease was in both our names, but I paid the rent. I explained the situation briefly. I'm moving out immediately. I'm willing to pay the lease break fee right now to get my name off the contract because I had been a perfect tenant for 3 years. The property manager was sympathetic. She told me if I paid the next 2 months' rent and signed a release form, I could walk away. I wrote the check without blinking. It was expensive, but freedom usually is. Then came the movers. I hired a premium service, the kind that packs for you. I told them to be there at noon. I need everything that belongs to me in the truck, I instructed. Electronics, the TV, the couch, the bed, the kitchen appliances, the dining set. Sarah had moved in with me a year ago. She brought clothes, a vanity, some books, and a collection of house plants. Everything else, the infrastructure of our life, was mine. I watched the movers dismantle the apartment. It was methodical. The TV came off the wall, leaving the bracket holes staring back like eyes. The bed frame was disassembled. The expensive coffee maker she used every morning was boxed up. By 4:00 p.m., the apartment echoed. It was a hollow shell. All that remained were her clothes in the closet, her vanity table, her boxes of shoes, and her dying succulents. I wasn't done. I didn't want her to come home to a half-empty apartment and stay there. I wanted the eraser to be complete. I didn't want her sleeping in our room, walking on our floors. I called a second moving crew, a budget one this time. I need the remaining items moved to a storage unit, I said. I rented the smallest unit available at a facility 5 miles away. I paid for 1 month in cash. I watched them pack her life into cardboard boxes. Her finding herself journal, had she actually brought it, would have gone in too. Her clothes, her makeup, her specialized shampoos, all of it went into the back of a beat-up van. By 7:00 p.m. on Wednesday, the apartment was completely empty. Not just my stuff, everything. I did a final sweep. I patched the holes in the walls where the TV had been. I vacuumed the carpets. I wiped down the counters. I made it look as if no one had ever lived there. It was sterile, cold, perfect. I stood in the center of the living room one last time. The silence here was different now. It wasn't the heavy, suffocating silence of Sunday morning. It was the silence of a blank slate. I didn't leave a note. Notes are for people who want a conversation. I didn't want a conversation. I wanted to be a memory. I took the single key to the storage unit and placed it on the kitchen counter. Next to it, I placed the key to the apartment. Then, I drove to the Airbnb app on my phone and canceled the reservation for the remaining days. I knew I wouldn't get a refund, but I got a notification an hour later that the host had messaged Sarah saying her stay was cut short. I smiled, blocked her number, blocked Mark, blocked her sister, and blocked her 3 best friends. I got in my car and drove to the new place I'd secured, a short-term rental in a different part of the city. I ordered a pizza, opened a beer, and turned on a video game. For the first time in 2 years, I wasn't an NPC. I was the one playing the game, and Sarah. She was about to find out that when you go looking for yourself, sometimes you lose everyone else. I kept my phone off for most of Sunday. I knew when she was coming back. I knew the timeline. I spent the morning at a new gym, burning off the last remnants of my frustration on the squat rack. By the time I turned my phone on at 4:00 p.m., the notifications came through like a machine gun firing. 47 missed calls, 28 text messages, 12 voicemails. I didn't panic. I sat on my new balcony, cracked open a soda, and watched the show unfold in reverse chronological order. The first texts from around 100 p.m. were innocent enough. She was trying to play the part of the refreshed girlfriend returning from her pilgrimage. 112 p.m. Hey babe, just crossing the city limits. Feeling so recharged, can't wait to tell you about my epiphany. Love you. 145 p.m. Parking now. Did you change the lock code? It's sticking. Then the confusion set in. 152 p.m. Babe, why is the door unlocked? 154 p.m. Op, where are you? 155 p.m. Where is the furniture? And then the mask slipped. This spiritual healed Sarah vanished, replaced by the entitled chaos I had been living with for years. 210 p.m. Is this a joke? Because it's not funny. Pick up the phone right now. 230 p.m. You psychotic piece of SHD, you stole my stuff. I'm calling the police. Asterisk 300 p.m. My keys don't work. What is this key on the counter? Talk to me. I scrolled to the voicemails. I skipped the first few hysterical ones and clicked on the most recent one. It was a masterpiece of gaslighting. I can still hear the shrill, frantic pitch of her voice. Opie, you need to call me back right now, or I swear to God I will ruin you. You can't just evict me. We have rights. And if this is about Mark, you're crazy. I ran into him at a coffee shop. Okay. He was just helping me through a panic attack because being alone was so hard. He's just a friend. You're literally ruining my life over a delusion. Where's my bed? Where am I supposed to sleep? She was still lying. Even standing in the wreckage of our relationship, facing the absolute void where my support used to be, she was trying to manipulate reality. Then came the flying monkeys. Her best friend, Jessica, had tried calling me 3 times. I had a text from her too. You are a small, insecure man, leaving a woman homeless because you're jealous. She's crying in the parking lot. Be a man and fix this. I didn't reply to Jessica. I didn't reply to Sarah's sister. I opened a chat window with Sarah. I didn't type a paragraph. I didn't explain my feelings. I didn't ask why or tell her how much she hurt me. I attached 3 images. Image 1, the screenshot of her Instagram story with the coffee mugs. Image 2, a zoomed-in crop of Mark's distinctive anchor tattoo holding the mug. Image 3, a screenshot of Mark's post from the same hour showing her journal on his table. Then I typed my only message. I hope you found yourself because you certainly found Mark. Your belongings are at Storage Facility Address Unit 402. The code is 1234. The rent is paid for 30 days. After that, it's your problem. Do not contact me again. I hit send. I watched the read receipt appear instantly. Then the typing bubble appeared. It danced for a long time. Then it disappeared. Then it appeared again. I didn't wait to see what lie she was concocting. I blocked her number again. I blocked Jessica. I turned my phone back off. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was victorious. It has been 6 months since that Sunday. You might be wondering about the love story between Sarah and Mark. You might think she just moved in with him and lived happily ever after in their toxicity. But that's the thing about guys like Mark. They don't want a girlfriend who comes with baggage, drama, and a storage unit full of boxes. They want a fun week while the boyfriend pays the bills. I heard through a mutual friend who I haven't blocked that Mark didn't let her move in. He told her his place was too small and he wasn't ready for that kind of intensity. She ended up couch surfing at Jessica's for 2 weeks before they had a massive falling out. Turns out Sarah is a terrible house guest when she's not being subsidized. She had to move back in with her parents in a town 2 hours away. The same parents she spent years complaining about. The last I heard, she was working a receptionist job she thought she was too creative for, trying to save up for a deposit on an apartment she can't afford. As for me, I got promoted. It turns out when you're not spending your mental energy managing a partner's constant existential crisis, you have a lot of focus for your career. I used the money I saved from not paying for her spiritual resets to actually travel. I went to Japan solo. I didn't post about finding myself. I just ate sushi, climbed mountains, and enjoyed the quiet. I'm dating again, too. Her name is Alina. On our second date, she insisted on splitting the bill. When I told her about my job, she didn't call me boring. She asked questions. It's early, but it's easy. It's respectful. I ran into Sarah once. It was last week. I was at a high-end grocery store picking up steaks for a dinner. I was cooking for Alina. I turned the corner of the wine aisle and there she was. She looked tired. The spark she was so desperate to find seemed to have burned out. She was wearing sweatpants, holding a basket with a frozen pizza and a cheap bottle of wine. She saw me. Her eyes widened. She scanned me from my new jacket to the expensive wine in my hand. She looked at the card, seeing the evidence of a life that was thriving without her. Opie, she breathed. She took a step forward, a flicker of that old entitlement rising in her eyes. She opened her mouth, probably to launch into an apology or a story or a plea. I've been thinking about you. Mark was a mistake. I was just lost. I didn't stop. I didn't frown. I didn't smile. I looked at her with the polite, distant recognition you give to a cashier you vaguely remember from a store you stopped visiting years ago. "Excuse me," I said, stepping around her to grab a bottle of Cabernet. Please," she stammered, her voice cracking. "Can we just talk even for 5 minutes?" I paused and turned to her. I didn't see the woman I loved. I didn't see the villain who betrayed me. I just saw a stranger who was blocking the aisle. "I don't think so," I said. My voice was calm, steady. "I have dinner waiting." I walked to the checkout line and didn't look back. I didn't need to. She was part of a chapter 1, had already finished writing, and I was too busy enjoying the rest of the book. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.